Hello and welcome to another episode of Swim Sets by the Pool. This is the podcast where you get free tips and swim workouts that will help you swim better. My name is Nathan Cohen. I'm a professional triathlete. With me is not Greg Harper. Greg is taking a break from the pod. He's having a baby. He just got married. He's trying to buy a house. There's a lot of things going on in his life. So he's taking a step back from the pod. But we have returning guest Kyle filling in that void. Kyle, he's a two-time Olympic trial swimmer. He's super good, really tall, great person. Kyle, how you doing?
Good, Nate. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. And yeah, it seems like I might be here to stay for a few more episodes. So I'm honored to be one of the co-hosts for a little while until either Greg manages to take care of his kid better, or yeah, maybe I'll be here to stay. We'll see.
No,
But all the best to Greg. I hope he does well with it all, and that's really exciting for him. So
yeah,
I'm honored though to take his shoes for a little bit.
yeah, for sure. Honestly, like I couldn't even imagine having a kid right now. That would stress me out so bad. So I feel for the guy, but Greg's been awesome, and he's gonna be on the pod in the future and stuff. He loves swimming, and yeah, we wish him all the best. So yeah, I mean, Kyle's a great guy. He's a super fast swimmer, way faster than me. We race each other pretty much every week in open water, and I have yet to come out on top. This season, I think I only beat you once, but he like cramped up, so it wasn't really that fair.
That was a tough day that day. Too
Yeah,
much
yeah,
pizza before. Don't eat too much pizza before you swim. It's
yeah.
like
Kyle has some interesting diet choices. He's not fully a triathlete yet. He's done a few races, but he's still learning the whole nutrition game for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, getting better at it, training the stomach to take in more stuff while my heart's pounding. That's definitely been something I'm not used to doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's been a fun process. So
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. Um this is just going to be a episode like all our other ones where we're going to go through a swim workout that we pulled from the internet or someone got sent it to us. And yeah, but before we get started, Kyle has a tip for us to start off the episode. Kyle, what's your quick tip?
I was just thinking back to what I could do as a universal like technique tip because I thought that would be kind of a fun one to throw in. The most common thing I see with a lot of people beginning swimming or just not fully like haven't figured everything out with swimming is just make sure when you kick to keep your feet relaxed. A lot of people when they kick just keep their feet way too locked up. If you've ever like worn shoes in the pool, you'll go absolutely nowhere because they're floating and they're so rigid. But with fins, they have such flexibility, and if you can almost get your foot to mimic like a fin, you're going to just go so much quicker when you're kicking. So if you like to kick when you swim, please just remember to keep your feet relaxed and maybe even test it out. Try a lap where you keep your feet really rigid and see how well you do, and then do a lap where you keep your feet super loose and see how you do. And you might notice a night and day change. So if anyone out there hasn't given that a try yet, please do.
That's an awesome tip. Um yeah, sometimes I've been having some of my adult swim lessons that I teach who are like learning how to swim, kick with a kickboard, and some of them when we started couldn't actually move themselves forward with just their kick. So,
It is really interesting. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of crazy to see.
it is really weird. It's almost like they're doing it on purpose, and then you're like, oh no, you're just way too rigid with your feet. But
Yeah,
it's kind of like the same thing with your whole body. You just got to figure out exactly when to relax your body and when to tense everything up. There's like a really like sweet spot almost, and the better you get at it, the more efficient you can get. But some people just swim way too rigid, and then it makes you more tired, and you don't go as fast. So it's
yeah,
a double-edged sword.
definitely. How much of your propulsion do you feel like comes from your kick, like percentage wise, versus like legs versus arms? Like how much of your forward propulsion?
I would say, like, in terms of we're talking strictly freestyle in the open water here, honestly, not very much. A lot of people kick a lot more than I do. I'm very passive. I have very long, like larger legs, so moving them requires a lot of energy. So if I'm sprinting, I would say 20 to 30% of propulsion. But when I'm actually just swimming like longer yards, sometimes it's just one or two kicks or it's like usually two kicks every two strokes
Mm-hmm.
to help kind of rotate the body. But yeah, I wouldn't say much.
Yeah.
But some people definitely do kick a lot more when they're swimming. So, but yeah, and then the other strokes, obviously, besides freestyle, it's massive. Breaststroke, 70 to 80% of the power probably comes from the kick. So,
Yeah.
definitely depends on which conditions you're swimming in. But yeah, I'd say in general, it's a lot less for distance freestyle for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely try and turn on the kick when I'm like sprinting all out and stuff. And I actually like I used to not kick a lot even when I was sprinting, and my coaches at VC, they're like, Nate, just friggin' kick. So I
Yeah,
have to like remind myself to like turn on the kick when I'm sprinting. But yeah, that's
that's
something. I
good.
have pretty stiff ankles, I would say, from all the running and stuff. So that's something I've been working on, is getting a little more ankle flexibility in my kick. But yeah, sweet. That's a great tip. Yeah, I hope you guys practice that, try it out. And yeah, we're gonna dive right into the set. This is a set I took from Mark Dubrick's Instagram, aka Marc the Shark. He's one of the fastest swimmers in 70.3 Ironman triathlon. And he just like works really hard. Like he's a super consistent guy, and one of the nicest guys in the sport as well. So this is a workout he posted on a little mini whiteboard under the caption "cool down" or "warm down," which we've talked about before. I think it's cool down. Kyle says warm down. Um, but you know, it's not a huge hill
Yeah.
to die on. But 80% of the people on his poll said cool down. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna just dive through this set, see if it's a good one, see if it's a set that you guys should do. And yeah, we'll kind of break it down for you. But yeah, 400 warm up, pretty standard. And then 300 pull only the buoy. So Mark does that a lot. And honestly, like, I kind of like it. I kind of like swimming in my warm up without paddles, just the pull buoy. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's nice. And then two 100 IMs, then 100 kick. So that's 1,000 yards there, or meters, depending on what pool you're swimming in. But Kyle, what do you think of this warm up?
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of that warm up. I think pulling with only the buoy, I think that there's always good discussion there because a lot of people are very diehard on paddles, and a lot of people think that it's good to not use them. I think there's definitely an argument for both, and I think like you definitely should use paddles at least at some point, and know how to use them because they just teach you such a good like hand position. It gets you to get that catch without like messing up your wrist and all that, keeps everything rigid, which is nice there on the pull. So, but I think also like getting a feel for where your hands need to be, especially that early into the workout, is really good. Throwing on paddles before your shoulders aren't even warmed up is not a great, because you really put a lot of pressure on your shoulders and all these connected muscles when you're using the paddles because it's just a lot more water that's pushing against your hands. So getting everything like getting all those little muscles in the shoulder and all that loosened up in a slightly easier fashion is kind of nice before you throw the paddles early on. And I feel like that's more of a main set kind of thing when the days allow for it. But yeah, so I think that is a really good warm up too. I like the IM too. It's always good to get a little stroke getting to kind of get everything like flexible and moving around.
Mhm.
Even a little breaststroke kick is always nice. Yeah, can loosen up the legs and the hips from other workouts like running and biking too. So which is really nice. So
Yeah, I think I really like 100 IMs, especially in like a long course pool where you just kind of like switch at the halfway without the wall. I just think it's fun, just to mix it up like that. Yeah, and then this is kind of like a preset, a little tune up, 3x100 descend on 140, so like a super easy interval. And then 4x50, I'm not sure. It says blast. I don't know what that means. But then it says 3-5-7-9. So I'm assuming that's like breathing.
I
Three.
would say it sounds like he's going hard for three strokes, then five strokes, and seven
Oh,
strokes, and
that
nine
makes
strokes each
sense. Yeah,
50.
because it says strokes after that. Okay, so 450 is where he just increases the number of strokes he's taking. Um,
Yeah, or he does that like yeah, he does each one of those fast. Like so he starts with three strokes fast, then five strokes fast. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. And like for him, probably 9 strokes. He's probably getting all the way across the pool with that. If it's a 25-yard pool, and then 100 buoy at the ankles. That's kind of interesting. What do you think the buoy at the ankles is good for?
Man, I used to hate when my coaches made me do that when I was in age group. Yeah, I mean, it's just really good at it keeps everything like floating just as much as you would if you had it in your midsection, but it like really causes you it makes your body line really tight because you got to squeeze the legs together. You can't let the legs just drift open, drift apart, and it makes you kind of really engage your core and engage that in like is the adductor muscles, I think, in your
Hmm.
legs. And yeah, it's really just good for stability and learning how to swim in like a almost like a straight line without letting your body kind of sway and open up too much, which is so it's a good drill to do, especially if you don't have that body position already. And I think the worse your body position is, and the least like and the less straight you swim and the more fluid and open you swim, like the harder that's going to be. So it's a kind of a good indicator. If that's really difficult, you might want to keep a better body line. But so yeah, I think it's a fun drill to do for especially um like what the focus is with freestyle here and everything like that.
Nice, awesome. And then yeah, take us through this main set, Kyle. Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah, I do. It's 15 100s on 125 threshold. So it looks like it's I'm hoping that's a short course pool. That's a pretty rough long course interval, although I think a lot of good end triathletes and definitely some swimmers could tackle that long course. But assuming it is short course, that's not a terribly difficult interval for a lot of decent swimmers. You can get like a guy like Mark, or it's Mark, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, he's going to be able to get a lot of rest at the wall. I'm assuming he's going to be pushing near a minute, so he's going to get 20, 25, maybe even 30 seconds of rest at the most here on the wall. So it looks like he's got enough time to just kind of hit the wall, reset, catch his breath a little bit, but the heart rate's still going to stay really high, so he can mentally kind of approach the 100s, and they're not too fast, so like on the interval. So I think he's given himself just kind of like, it's not enough rest to where the lactic acid's building up or the heart rate's going down, but it's enough rest to kind of get his bearings each time. So it's a really solid way of kind of doing a threshold set. It looks like a very nice interval for that kind of thing to kind of stay in the zone.
Yeah, that's nice. And he's probably swimming at an effort that's pretty hard, but not over the limit kind of thing. So I think the wrong way to do the set is if you go super hard the first 100 and let's just say he goes like 57 for the first 100, and then all the ones after that are like 101 or 102 or something like that. That would be the wrong way to do the set. And then it would probably like fade even more if you went like too hard in the beginning. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if he starts like 100 or 59, and then that's what he holds for all 15, you know?
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
yeah.
I would say, yeah, starting that one out not super fast, kind of getting a test would be really good in doing that.
Yeah,
Like
for sure. Oh, yeah.
and then having yeah, and then yeah, descending into the next two, or like into two or three would be good, and then from there just trying to hold until you kind of maybe crack towards the very end would be great. But yeah, good jumping straight into it and just slamming on the gas the first 100 would be rough.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's this second part to the set where it's 2 times 200, 200, and then 100. And then it says the first set is pull with paddles, and then the second set is only buoy, which is kind of interesting. Um, Doing the first set with paddles and then the first set without. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was like, I think it's well written, considering he pulls kind of the paddles out in the later part of the set. Like how I was saying in the earlier part, the shoulders are going to be warmed up from the 15 100s and all the warm up and everything like that. Your body's probably in the best position to be using the paddles, and if anything, the shoulders and everything might be a little bit more tired, and so having those paddles on to kind of give you that extra like uplift on the water and that extra boost might be nice to be able to be a little more consistent later into the set. So I think, yeah, because having paddles definitely gives you a lift up in the water and keeps your body position higher, and then the buoy for sure helps. So pulling is one of the best ways to just keep your body in the right spot while being able to just still swim. So it keeps your technique in a much better line when you're more tired. So I think it was really well done how he was able to write that. And I think having paddles on first and then having to take them off and do the main set always is a little tough. It's almost like, having to, like, yeah, it's almost it's all it's it like, because a lot of people in paddles with paddles on, they'll go a little bit faster. So not having paddles first is helpful for the mindset, especially too, and not having to and it's almost like a reward after that main set to be able to put those
Mm-hmm.
on and be able to crank out those yards like that. So yeah, I think that's really well written, and I would definitely agree with that set and definitely try it out myself. So
Yeah, I think it's solid. I think, and this is probably something Mark does. It's just not like written down because you can't like write everything down. But the only thing I would recommend is on that second pull set where it's just the buoy, I would throw in some breath work where maybe you're breathing every 3 or every 5 strokes. Especially if like breathing to one side is really uncomfortable for you. Um, breathe to your non-dominant side, like for a whole 200 or something. Like if you're used to only breathing to the right, breathe to the left for that whole 200. I know when I started swimming, when I was like 18, like 17, 18, 19, and I was like getting more into swimming, it was really, really hard for me to breathe to the left. Like I was significantly slower, like honestly, like 5 to 10 seconds slower per 100. Like when I
Oh,
was
wow,
breathing to
that
my
is
left, I
interesting.
was also swimming like two
Yeah,
minute per 100 pace. So my hundreds were pretty
yeah, yeah.
long, but, yeah, it was really hard for me. And now it's like almost seamless. Like during races, like I'll breathe to the left to see if like someone's on that side of me, or even just to like even out my stroke. I remember one
Oh
time I
yeah.
was doing reef and run, and I was just getting blasted in the face on one side from like the chop and the swell on my right side, and I was just swallowing water. I'm like, I'm just gonna breathe to the left, and it was way better because it's just like the
Yeah,
way the
no,
chop was going, breathing to my other side. It just, yeah, and I can do that now
yeah.
because I've practiced it a lot.
That's good. Yeah, I could think of two really important reasons to not breathe both ways, especially in the open water. Is one, yeah, seeing your competition if somebody's swimming tandem with you and you want to know what they're doing, or if they're going to try to make a move on you or something like that, or if you're battling someone for position behind somebody. But especially like if the sun is just beaming down on you and you can't
Mm,
see the buoy in front of you, being able to sight sideways, like if it's your non-dominant side and the shore is along that way and you're not breathing towards that shore at all, and you could just completely start swimming a different direction. Like I've seen it happen so much where people just start breathing to the right, the shore's on the left, and they'll just start like completely like going the almost the opposite direction. Like they'll be going perpendicular from where they were
yeah,
beforehand. And so being able to just like kind of switch up the breath, even if it's like not great, but you can do it every few times to kind of just like look is it's super crucial. So at least getting it maybe not perfect, but at least to the point where you're comfortable doing it in an open water race would be awesome. But
yeah, for sure. The last two triathlons I did, uh, this sprint Conti Cup in Kelowna, and then 70.3 Boise, all the buoys were like left hand buoys. So I breathed to the right predominantly, but it was nice to be able to like check and look over my left shoulder for that. So yeah,
yeah,
so add that in on like the second set of that pulling, especially when it's just the buoy. Because then you don't really have to think about your legs too much. You can spend that extra energy like focusing on your breathing and stuff. And I think we can all get a little bit better and just try and make that breath a little bit more efficient. I always tell people it's like if you got tapped on the shoulder and you just like looked over to see who was there, you don't want to like make a huge movement, like lift your head up and then to the side. Just like quick little over the shoulder, get your breath. So, yeah.
yeah. The crocodile look or whatever is only like probably you should probably only ever do that if you're looking for a buoy. But yeah, when you
Yeah.
breathe, you don't even want to remotely be looking forward in any way, especially not in a pool. But open water, there's obviously a lot more factors. But yeah, I think
Hmm.
doing the look up and then the breath to the side is definitely a yeah, you can definitely
Yeah.
tack on a lot of time. And the longer your head's out of the water, the more your hips are going to sink, and you'll start your body position will just drop off pretty fast. So yeah, getting the breath as quick as possible, not jeopardize where your body is in the water is really, really helpful.
Yeah. Sweet. And then, like we said at the beginning, cool down or warm down 200. I think that's solid. I always do some backstroke or maybe a little kicking in my cool down. And one thing I've been doing, I think one of my friends told me, I think one of like the Cal coaches says this, do your last 50 like really, really smooth with perfect technique and then get out of the pool. Just so like the last thing your body remembers is you swimming with really good technique. I don't know like how scientific that is, but it kind of makes sense. It like I buy into the placebo effect of it. If anything, I'm like, yeah, my last 50 super smooth.
Yeah, I mean, it sure wouldn't hurt you to do it. So there's no downside to it. So might as
Yeah,
well try it out.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well, sweet. I'm going to close this out with something I've been thinking about, and it's don't take swim advice from someone who's slower than you or like one of your buddies who's like, oh, yeah, you should totally like do this if they're like not a great swimmer. Like, have someone who's a really good swimmer. And like, you could do this at the pool. I mean, maybe don't do it like every single day, but like, if you see someone who's like a collegiate swimmer or like a really good swimmer in the lane next to you, be like, hey, can you like look at me swimming and like give me one tip that you think I could do? Because I had Kyle do that with my stroke, and I'm not a bad swimmer, but I'm not as good as Kyle. He's definitely faster than me. and he gave me this one tip, and it's like really been helping me swim faster. So that's kind of where this comes from. Um, yeah, and try not to always take advice from those really old guys at the pool who have like really questionable swim strokes, because it maybe worked for them back in like the 80s or something, but swimming's come a long way since the
Yeah.
80s. We use goggles now.
Everyone show some love though to your slower coaches that know how to coach. So like if
Yeah.
they vet it themselves and they get people fast, you definitely trust them. I've known some people that could barely break a minute in the 100 free, and they've gotten people to the Olympic trials. So I think with
Yeah.
the exception of actual coaches, that definitely holds
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some people that have just studied the sport so well
Hmm.
that I trust them with my life, and they didn't go very far in their own swim career, but
Yeah.
they definitely have with coaching. But yeah, I agree that it's really good to um look at what people are doing. If somebody's swimming faster than you, there's at least one reason that they're swimming faster than you, whether it's in your control or not. So it's always good to like see what kind of factors that you could like how you could bridge that gap, and if it's realistic, and they could definitely offer some good advice. But
Yeah, for sure. And I think some of those college swim coaches used to be super fast swimmers too, or like pretty good swimmers. A lot of them.
it's a big range, yeah. It
Yeah.
definitely is. They come from all different backgrounds, but yeah, that hopefully they all have the same thing in common as they can coach well. But yeah, they definitely have seen the slower coaches like that were swimmers have at least seen very fast swimmers and have worked with very fast swimmers, and that definitely helps a lot. And they at least have those almost like those swimmers' advice to pass on to you, if anything. And that's how they become so valuable too. It's just working with that talent. So.
Nice. Hopefully we'll get Kyle's swim coach on from UCSB on one of these future episodes. So stay tuned for that. That'd be really cool to have a great D1 swim coach on the podcast. So yeah. Anyways, if you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel and share it with one of your swim buddies. And yeah, you could just print off the set, like screenshot it in the show notes and print it off and then try the set. I know I'm probably going to try the set because Doobie's a great swimmer. They call him Marc the Shark for a reason. So yeah, this is a solid set and going to give it a try. But yeah, see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, Nate, thanks for having me. It was fun to be here.